98 votes. 98 votes. We're down 98 votes.
Kevin Spacey co-stars with Hanging Chad in one of the best movies of the year that you can watch from the comfort of your Barca lounge.
And John Cusack wants to know if that's a scorpion in your pants or if you're just Hillary Duff in War Inc.
Plus, I just returned from the world's biggest film festival, and I'll list some of the best movies heading your way.
You're a teacher?
Part-time.
After nearly 20 years, the wait is over. Indiana Jones is back in theaters. I'm Richard Roeper.
And I'm Michael Phillips of the Chicago Tribune. 19 years ago, the world's most famous fictional archaeologist rode off into the sunset in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Well, make that second to Last Crusade.
Right.
I saw Indiana Jones in the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull at the Cannes Film Festival, where the fanfare was enormous. Harrison Ford, director Steven Spielberg, and storyman George Lucas have reunited for this fourth installment in the series. Paramount Pictures is keeping a tight leash on this blockbuster, which explains why we're only showing you footage from the trailers rather than actual scenes from the movie. So, 1957, Indy and the sniveling, godless Russians are in hot pursuit of the crystal skull of Akator. Now, listen up, because there's going to be a test on this subject.
Legend says that a crystal skull was stolen from a mythical lost city in the Amazon, supposedly built out of solid gold, guarded by the living dead. Whoever returns the skull to the city temple will be given control over its power.
The film reunites Ford with Karen Allen, Indy's squeeze from Raiders of the Lost Ark. The new characters include Mutt, a greaser's sidekick played by Shia LaBeouf, who enlists Indy to save his mom, played by Allen, from certain doom down in Peru. Now, this trio lays waste to half a rainforest, snatching that skull and fending off the Ruskies.
Well, what's he gonna do now?
I don't think he plans that far ahead.
Oh! I'd cover my ears if I were you.
Kate Blanchett plays the villainess who wants that tchotchke to control all humankind. Me, I'm more interested in old-fashioned stunt work like this.
Damn, I thought that was closer.
It's great to see Harrison Ford in fighting trim, and Spielberg stages one particularly good chase sequence. Not that big one with a rocket launcher, but a smaller one where Indy and Mutt are chased on their motorcycles straight across campus during an anti-communist rally. It's a funny scene, but this is a truly bankrupt script, and when it stops long enough to explain what all that stuff with the skull's about, you feel like you're trapped in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Exposition. It's too bad, because Spielberg has made some of my favorite entertainments in modern movies, a lot of people's favorites, and this just isn't one of them, not nearly. With these talents, it's disappointing. So I have to say, it breaks my heart, but skip it.
Ah, you're nuts. Shh, I cracked my whip in your general direction. Okay, is this movie loony and goofy and ridiculous, and does it go into all sorts of strange areas? Yes.
Yeah.
Is it one of the best, worst movies I've ever seen? Yes, I'm recommending it.
I mean, there's a lot of... I will explain the dichotomy there.
There's a lot of stuff going on here where you just go, oh, that's just insane.
Well, I don't care about the logic. I just care about the entertainment value.
That's the fun of it. Well, there's nothing but entertainment value here, Michael. I mean, you talk about the chase on campus. That's great. But come on, there's a lot of good stuff through the rainforest as well. Kate Blanchett has a lot of fun kind of playing Ilsa She-Wolf of the Indiana Jones movies. Ray Winstone shows up as a guy who keeps changing sides. All of that is great fun. You mentioned the old-fashioned stunt work, which is a lot of fun. I mean, yeah, you get a lot of CGI stuff as well, but there's this is sort of like, to me, like when a great band reunites and you go see the Eagles or the Rolling Stones or somebody. Maybe they're not the way they were when you remember them 20 years ago, but it's almost a tribute to those movies, and we get a fresh story as we're remembering how much we love this franchise.
There's my issue. I think this script, this thing never solved its story issues, and I don't want to give too much away, but the way this film relies so heavily on the alien mythology that we know from other Spielberg pictures and far better films like Close Encounters. I'm not going to say any more, but but I'm saying there's something about that alien mythology to me that does not sit with the Indiana Jones that I know from any of the three pictures, and it just doesn't seem to exist in the same
Because the Raiders
world.
of the Lost Ark had something that just would go into the textbooks if you were studying archaeology.
I
mean, come on. There are always moments where it would go a little loopy. I would agree with you. There are certain moments where you're going, are you kidding me? This is really what they're going to do here? But you're having so much fun seeing Harrison Ford there back as Indy,
good.
seeing Shia LaBeouf play off him, the return of Karen Allen.
Okay,
you go, oh, okay, fine. I agree. Yeah. There could have been a better script. There could have been a better movie here, but it's just so much fun seeing
Here's what I don't get.
Indy back on the big screen.
Every one of Spielberg's entertainment, there's always so much visual stuff and just real sheer movie-making excitement that you just really can take home with you. And here, I just don't think Spielberg had any material or any scenes he could really build into 5-10 minute scenes that you can really kind of like talk about later.
I think there are a lot of fun scenes. It has been interesting, the whole release pattern here. You know, Spielberg and Lucas not giving us clips, not giving anybody clips. You know, Harrison Ford's on Letterman's show and he's got no clip to show, which I think is kind of a strange, old-fashioned way. Because
yeah, but you've been reenacting scenes from this movie all week.
Yeah,
so,
but, and then this rush to be first, to the fact to the point where some reviewers were texting updates like from the screening room, and then early reports where there were some early screenings that didn't go well, and then the New York Times rushing out there, and everybody, the tail sort of chasing the dog, everybody rushing to be first. And I think part of that is because a lot of reviewers of a certain age have such affection for the first 3 Indiana Jones movies that they're rooting so much for this film. And
but
I guess I would fit into that category.
Do you not feel that this is a distant fourth in the 4?
I would say, that's like saying, there was a home run and then a triple and then a double, and then the Hall of Fame guy gets up there and he just gets a solid single up the middle.
Okay, it's
still a base hit. It's still a base hit.
That, to me, that translates to an okay movie. And with these people involved, again, if I didn't love so much of Spielberg's work, I wouldn't be as disappointed in this one. So.
All right, we have to move on to the, I guess, maybe the second most anticipated movie of the century.
Oh, can't wait.
Well, maybe not. Okay, another mainstream thriller with named stars goes straight to DVD, and with good reason. In Cleaner, Samuel L. Jackson plays Tom Carver, a widowed ex-cop in Trenton, New Jersey. He's now in the business of making house calls and scrubbing away all traces of death. On one such house call, Carver erases the aftermath of an apparent murder, yet the woman who lives in the house thinks her husband is missing, not dead.
Look, I know what you're going through is rough. I lost my wife a few years ago, so I understand.
Should I be grieving?
No, of course not.
Then why would you empathize with me?
Well, I'm just saying that your concern is understandable.
That's Eva Mendes doing her best with a cliched femme fatale role. Ed Harris plays Tom's ex-partner on the force. Now, when Ed Harris plays a cop, he's either going to be a cop on the edge of being on the edge, or a cop who's more crooked than any of the crooks.
I don't regret what we did. Do you?
Doesn't matter. Still got to live with it.
Yeah, I live with it pretty good.
Directed by the consistently inconsistent veteran Rennie Harlan, Cleaner has an involving setup and some first-rate performances, but the last 15 minutes of this movie are as bad as anything I've seen in recent years. Don't buy it, don't rent it, don't watch it when it comes on cable. I'm well on my way to scrubbing it from my memory bank, so that would be skip this one from me, Michael.
That's a no, yeah. Rennie Harlan it's the most over-directed, you can't do a simple scene of somebody coming up to a door, ringing a doorbell, and going in without cutting it 19 different ways and shooting it like a toothpaste commercial. Anyway, the one thing that got me through it alive, Robert Forster as the autopsy
terrific
guy. He's an actor I just consistently look forward to, and he shows up very late in this picture. And if it weren't for him, man, it would have been a tough,
long I'm with you, Michael, because you think of these good actors, somebody like Ed Harris going, oh geez, and he's taking the role, but he's got to be thinking, geez, another part where I play this guy who's going to end up being that guy. Right. I did like the dynamic between Samuel L. Jackson and Keke Palmer. I'd like to see them play father and daughter in a better film.
Yeah, actor's not the problem, script the problem. It's also true with Indiana Jones, by the way.
Okay, later in the show, our man from Cannes, Michael Phillips, gives his picks for some of the best movies at this year's Cannes Film Festival.
And next, Kevin Spacey stars in the best movie on this week's show. Whoa.
Well, you call back anytime, Mr. Baker.
You got cardboard Chad that get punched but don't go all the way through the hole, so they're hanging off the edge of the ballot.
Hanging Chads.
Chad.
What?
There's no S.
The plural of Chad is Chad.
That's great democracy. Yeah.
Folks, vote yes on Recount. It's one of the sharpest films I've seen this year. Premieres this weekend on HBO. It's the true story, most of it anyway, about how democracy in America ran into a severe test of character down in Florida back in 2000. Kevin Spacey plays Ron Klain, Al Gore's ex-chief of staff. Here, he's on the line with his colleague, played by Dennis Leary. The game they thought had been called in George W. Bush's favor isn't over yet.
A machine in Volusia went crazy. Get this. Gore's count right now is negative 16,000 in that county.
So what are the real numbers?
Well, when you recalculate the entire state, we're down by less than 15,000.
So it's a machine recount.
We're still alive.
Tom Wilkinson is terrific as James Baker III. Laura Dern has just the right amount of fun with the role of Florida Secretary of State and makeup artiste Katherine Harris.
You are about to pick the leader of the free world.
Don't you worry, Mac. It's going to take a lot more than David Letterman making fun of my hair and makeup to knock me down.
Amazingly, Recount never bogs down in minutia. It's shrewdly balanced between relatively unfamiliar real-life players as well as real-life characters we saw a lot on camera in those days. Sometimes recent history makes for gripping drama with a deft touch. I'd say Stephen Frears' film, The Queen, managed just that, and while it's a very different political animal, Recount does it too. I say, see it on HBO this weekend.
I agree with you, Michael. I think it's one of the best movies of the year. I think, you know, Emmy nominations for many in the cast here.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Wilkinson as James Baker is very good. In a way, this reminded me of All the President's Men. It's procedural that could get bogged down, as you say, in minutia, but never does. And even though we know the outcome, it plays like a thriller.
Yeah. And here's the big surprise, too, for me, for the director, Jay Roach, who's, you know, done workman-like stuff like
Mostly
Meet
comedy.
the Parents. Yeah. Look, this is tragic comedy of recent history. It is, and it's a key chunk of our all our lives, and it's a really shrewdly shaped piece of history.
Yeah, I think Jay Roach has a very light, deft touch here. Does a terrific job directing this film, and I like the fact that it's not just, hey, here are the Democrats whining about what happened, how we got robbed. We see things from the Republican standpoint as well. I think both sides get pretty good play here. And we're left saying, wow, what an amazing chapter in American history. The system was broken, but I think the inevitable happened, and you know, there's a moment where you realize there's nothing that can be done here.
I don't agree with the inevitable part, but I do think that it's like a political tutorial in bare knuckle tactics versus taking, you know, a higher road that ultimately was a stupid thing to do. And the film really gets both sides of it. So yeah,
good film. Okay, later in the show, Oscar winners Ben Kingsley and Marissa Tomei and Hilary Duff, who I'm sure watches the Oscars every year, star in War, Inc.
And next, I went to the Cannes Film Festival and got an early look at some movies that are coming your way. I just flew in from the Cannes Film Festival on the French Riviera, and boy, are my eyes tired. Tired, but happy. I saw a lot of strong work, and here's some highlights coming soon to theaters in the good old US of A. First, Clint Eastwood has a film in competition at Cannes this year. It's a kidnapping drama called Changeling. It stars Angelina Jolie in a harrowing true story set in 1928 Los Angeles about a woman whose son disappears and then 5 months later reappears, only it's not the same boy. Jolie is a cinch for an Oscar nomination come the new year. Next, in an out-of-competition slot, Woody Allen premiered his new comedy, Vicky Cristina Barcelona, which, along with Match Point, is maybe his best film in the last 10 years. It stars Scarlett Johansson and a very good English actress named Rebecca Hall as two Americans who attract the attention of Javier Bardem while in sunny Spain.
If I were the type of person that played around, I don't think it's in the cards for us. So, I'm tired. I haven't slept in 24 hours, and that is exactly what I'm going to do.
And you?
I'll go to your room, but you have to seduce me.
Penelope Cruz also stars. And last but not least, I caught a little movie about a panda.
Get ready to feel the thunder. Come out with crazy feet. What are you gonna do about crazy feet? I'm a blur.
You never seen bear style.
Would you hit it?
How's that?
You know what I'm talking about, Kung Fu Panda, which I like too, but let's kick that one around a little closer to opening.
You got me excited about these movies. Some films that I've been looking forward to for a long time, so I'm glad to hear that they were a resounding success.
Plenty of good foreign pictures too, and we'll talk about that another time too.
Sounds great. Okay, next movie. John Cusack is a hitman. Ben Kingsley is a madman, and Hilary Duff is a pop starlet who drops a live scorpion in her shorts in War, Inc. And did I mention Marissa Tomei as a sexy foreign correspondent? With all of that and more, War, Inc. is one of the more offbeat entries of the year so far, that's for sure. It's also something of a disaster.
You and I are centurions, honor bound to defend civilization against the barbarians.
Let's cut the walk in. I like killing people as much as the next guy, but I signed up to kill the bad ones.
Cusack has been hired to assassinate a Middle Eastern leader named Omar Sharif. Hardy har har. Yeah, that's supposed to be a funny name. He's been dropped into the middle of war-torn and fictional Tarakistan. Duff is a long way from Lizzie McGuire playing international pop star temptress Yannicka Baby Yeah.
Sure. All right.
You are big boss.
I guess I am, yeah.
How big?
What is that?
I gotta say, Duff actually isn't bad here. We also get good work from Marissa Tomei. She's had about 6 or 7 good performances in a row over the last few years. This film borrows from far better satires, ranging from Wag the Dog to Dr. Strangelove. Jokes about evil corporations and wartime profiteers and hitmen fall flat, and the last 20 minutes are loud and violent and ridiculous and endless. Skip it, skip it, skip it.
It's so sad to throw this on the scrap heap of all the other Iraq sort of inspired films, whether they're satire or straight, that just don't quite work. And this is really a sequel to Grosse Pointe Blank, a much better film.
Much better.
Much better. And moving on. Foreign correspondents taking us to hot spots around the world have long been a staple of the movies, from Hitchcock's Foreign Correspondent to Roger Spottiswode's Under Fire back in the 80s. Very good film. Spottiswoode has directed a new film on this subject called The Children of Huang Shi. It's based on the true story of a British journalist played by Jonathan Rhys-Meyers. He's covering the Japanese takeover of China in the late 1930s. Then he realizes what's really happening in Nanking.
I saw something I shouldn't have.
Got it.
I took photographs. They found them.
Oh, no wonder.
Pardon my ignorance, but what are you doing in the tax office? They're killing people out there.
We are completely outnumbered here. And the Japs are better armed. So, we're going to fight another day.
That's Chow Yun-fat of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, as a rebel who rescues George from a pretty close shave. The children of the title are the untamed orphan kids whom George and his nurse friend, played by Radha Mitchell, take under their wing. It's a good subject, but this script is hopelessly flat, which is the theme of this week's show. And why, when you don't get the script right, you know what you end up with? Cardboard Anglos with improbably nice hair in the foreground, and everybody else the story's really about in the background. Skip it, please.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one, Michael. It's a good story, a noble story that deserves to be told, but not in this plotting, formulaic, cliched manner. It's a real disappointment.
No, thank you.
Too bad, too bad.
Yeah, it is.
There's a documentary on this very subject that's much better. Coming up next, Colin Farrell and Ewan McGregor star in last year's Woody Allen movie. You can see it very soon on video. But first, here's a look at what's coming up over the next few weeks.
Oh my God.
We gotta get out of here. Then open the door, and I just want you to run, okay?
That was awesome! Let's go again!
This week's video segment is brought to you by Raisinets. Make a deliciously smart choice with Raisinets.
By getting rid of him, do you mean he cannot be allowed to testify by whatever means are necessary?
Forces to kill him.
Well, there's Tom Wilkinson in Cassandra's Dream with a proposition for his nephews, played by Colin Farrell and Ewan McGregor. Wilkinson was great as James Baker in Recount. Equally strong here. This is not one of Woody Allen's best films. Michael, you mentioned Match Point, which mines similar territory, I think, in a better fashion. But I did like the script here, and I love the idea when two brothers get into some stuff, and then things just start unraveling, and then going from worse to even worse.
I'm with you on the
unraveling. Tragic to even tragic. The
unraveling part. This film is not for me, but I'd like to see what you think about the new one, Vicky Cristina Barcelona, which is.
Well, in the meantime, people can watch this one. It's worth checking out on video.
John Cusack starred in a much better film inspired, if that's the word for it, by the Iraq War, and it came and went in theaters like that, partly because people resist any film about America's war in Iraq. This one's called Grace is Gone. It stars Cusack as the husband of a soldier killed in action. Learning the bad news, button-down Stanley takes his daughters, who don't know yet their mother's dead, on a road trip to Florida.
What the heck are we doing?
Hey, good morning, John!
Down the road?
Nope.
Cool.
Fun, isn't it?
Yeah!
It's a very modest film. It's not without its calculation and its manipulation, but it's worth seeing mainly thanks to the way Cusack interacts with the girls who play the daughters, particularly Shaylin O'Keefe as the older one, effectively forced into a caretaker role with her own father. It's a really good, unaffected performance, and that's the kind of child acting that really holds.
Couldn't agree with you more, Mike. I'm glad you made that pick. All right, Grace is Gone and Cassandra's Dream will be in stores on Tuesday, and we'll be back with my picks for 3 to see, the best 3 movies in theaters, right after this. Now it's time for 3 to see, my picks for 3 of the best films in theaters right now. At number 3, this is a good weekend to take your kid to see the visual wonders of Speed Racer. And the youngster will probably be able to race up and down the aisles, too, because you might be the only ones in the theater. My second pick is Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. That might be a little more crowded at the theater. It's loopy, it's corny, it's hokey, it's predictable, and it's a big ball of old-fashioned fun. And the best film around right now isn't in theaters. As Michael said, it's on HBO. Recount should win multiple Emmy nominations for the cast, the screenplay, and for Jay Roach's direction. It's smart, it's a funny, bittersweet return to the 2000 election.
Well, you got a problem with Iron Man? Iron Man.
Iron Man's a good film,
Yes,
and I hope
is.
you find it to be a good book. I want to gift this to you, Michael, my latest book, Debunked, available online and in stores as we speak. And I have a chapter there. It's all about conspiracies. I have a chapter there about the greatest conspiracy movies and the worst conspiracy movies of all time as well.
Hey, I get the bunk from you every week, man, and now I got it in print.
Well, I'll debunk that later. That's it for this week. Until next week, the balcony is closed.
The incredibly clean and fuel-efficient Civic Hybrid from Honda. Reverse your thinking.
Go. There's no way out.
You got lucky.
I get lucky a lot.
National Treasure 2, Book of Secrets. Only today on Disney DVD and Blu-ray High Def.
From Jennifer Convertibles, a Simmons microfiber sofa bed, just $2.99. Only at Jennifer, $2.99. Jennifer Convertibles, the only place to buy a sofa bed.
What's in here is what's in here. Real peaches, fresh cream, Breyer's all natural, extraordinary taste.